Hello guys, this is Movie Lover and welcome to this Movie Lover world. This story begins with the man's hands suddenly start to grow like crazy and his feet are mutated. He lies on the ground in pain and his hair is getting thicker and thicker than his spine is slowly bulging due to an attack. He was infected with some kind of virus. And now he is turning into a werewolf. The story starts a few weeks ago. David and his friend Jack come to London for a trip. They are backpackers and after hitchhiking to the countryside, the two set out on a hike. As night falls, they find a pub in a small village, so they plan to go in and take a rest. After entering the pub, they sit down at a table. Jack sees a five-pointed star on the wall and he seems to have seen this symbol somewhere before. Jack asks the pub goers the meaning of the five-pointed star, and to his surprise, they immediately become hostile. They get a little scared and realize that they have asked a question they shouldn't have asked. Right after that, the pub-goers ordered them to leave the village immediately. The two are very confused, but they have no choice but to leave the place and continue their journey. After walking for a while, it begins to rain and they even hear a wolf howling. They are terrified, so they decide to go back the way they came, but soon they find themselves lost. Just then a giant wolf lunges at Jack and tears him to pieces. David immediately turns to run away. What a wonderful friend, but then the wolf soon catches up with him. Fortunately, the villagers arrive in time. They shoot the wolf and save David. Wakes up to find himself in a hospital. In downtown London, the police inform him that his friend Jack has been murdered by a madman. David realizes that the villagers didn't tell the police the truth because it was a giant wolf that attacked them. He tells the police that he was attacked by a wolf, but they don't believe him and think he is insane. Alice is a nurse in the hospital and under her care David soon recovers. The two then fall in love with each other. Upon his release from the hospital, David moves in with Alex. They start a sweet life together. On this day, Jack suddenly appears and David is shocked, but from Jack's look it is obvious that he has been dead for a while. David gets nervous. He asks Jack what the hell is going on. Jack explains that what attacked them that night was actually a werewolf. Jack is indeed dead, but anyone who is killed by a werewolf will be turned into a walking dead, and those who were bitten by a werewolf but didn't die will be turned into mad werewolves. Jack advises David to end himself, otherwise David will transform and hurt people at every full moon. David is so young and he just got a new girlfriend. He doesn't want to leave this world. Time flies and soon the full moon comes. David feels his body burning. He has to take his clothes off. Then he begins the painful process of transformation. His hands and feet are turning into wolf paws and thick hair is growing all over his body. Then his whole face starts to transform and finally David completely turns into a werewolf. After the transformation, David loses control of himself. He goes out into the street and murders a couple. Immediately afterward, he murders 3 homeless men at the river. Lastly, he murders a young man at the exit of a subway station. 6 people are killed in one night, and these people will undoubtedly become the Walking Dead. The next day, David wakes up to find himself in the cage of the wolves at the zoo. He is afraid that he will hurt innocent people again, so he finds a policeman and asks him for an arrest, saying that he is a werewolf and a murderer, but the policeman thinks David is playing a prank. He drives David away. David goes to a phone booth and calls his family to say goodbye, telling them he loves them. Then he wants to end himself, but he doesn't have the courage. He wanders around downtown feeling desperate and eventually arrives at a cinema. Here he meets Jack again, who is now in an advanced state of decay. Jack urges David to end himself as soon as possible, saying that ending his bloodline as a werewolf is the only way to free him and the other 6 victims, and most importantly, it is the only way to stop him from killing more innocent people. Just then David feels his body burning. He is about to transform again. David goes into werewolf mode again. He begins to attack indiscriminately in the cinema. The bystanders don't seem to be afraid. Instead, they show great interest in what is happening inside the cinema. They surround the entrance of the cinema, not listening to the police at all. Suddenly the werewolf jumps out of the cinema and bites the police inspector's neck. The bystanders are terrified and flee for their lives. The werewolf causes a big traffic problem while escaping, and many people are injured due to car crashes. He runs wildly through the streets with the police chasing after him. He is ultimately trapped and surrounded in an alleyway by the police. Alice runs down the alley and attempts to calm David by telling him that she loves him. Although David's consciousness appears to recognize her for a moment, he lunges forward and is shot by the police. Looking at David's body, Alice cries with sadness. Thanks for watching. Movie Lover will meet you again with new story. Till take care.